Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we take a stack of dense sources articles, research notes, historical texts, and really just distill the absolute essence of what you need to know.
And today we are plunging deep, really deep into a world where high political intrigue is,
Yeah.
well, it's just the grim prelude to some genuine cosmic horror.
It really is. Our source material for this deep dive is it's vast, it's complex. It charts a course through ancient warfare, the immediate machinations of this deadly cult, and I think most importantly, the crushing, profound personal burden carried by the most powerful magician alive.
That magician is Puck, of course. And our mission today is to unpack how the forces of good, and that's chiefly the secretive Conclave of Shadows, how they mobilized to tackle two vastly different yet equally existential threats at the same time.
Two at once. Yeah.
Yeah. So on one hand, you have this slow-motion global crisis, this ancient Dasati race and their horrifying armored artifacts, the Talnoy.
Okay, that's the cosmic threat.
That's the big one. And then on the other hand, they have to face this immediate chaotic threat posed by the resurrected mad sorcerer Leso Varen and his shadowy agents, the Nighthawks. And they're operating deep within the powerful Keshian Empire.
It sounds like an impossible workload, honestly. But before we get to the scale of the threat, let's unpack this by starting small, right at the center of the storm. Pug himself.
Good idea.
Because what the sources make immediately clear is that Pug is not just an immensely powerful figure. I mean, he's a force of nature and magic, but he is a man who is absolutely weighed down by loss and regret.
That's the key. He may command the conclave, but you're right, he carries more personal sorrow than anyone else in that room. The sources paint this deeply poignant picture of his current life. It's a grief so profound it colors his strategic thinking. It dictates his very perspective.
So we have to start there then, with the almost unbearable roll call of loss that defines him now.
It's a brutal list. He lost his first wife, Katala. She chose to leave Midkemia to die among her own people, knowing she was terminally ill.
That's heartbreaking on its own.
It is. Then came the agonizing loss of their children, William and Gamina, and then later their own children. But the list of his oldest, most trusted friends who are gone, it's just staggering.
Wait, so virtually every major figure from those early Rift War stories is gone?
Pretty much. Prince Arutha is gone. Lord Boric, the man who gave Pug his family name, he's gone. His first teacher, Kurgan, his companion Lori from the slave swamps, Squire Roland.
That list is less a personal tragedy and more a list of fallen historical monuments. The entire generation that defined the Kingdom of the Isles is essentially gone.
It is. Of that original foundational group, really only Tomas, the Dragon Lord, still abides.
And Tomas himself is this figure of immense, long-lived power, which means Pug has been forced to watch everything he cherished crumble over decades and centuries.
Precisely. And it makes total sense that his deepest, most heartbreaking wish isn't for more power or safety or anything like that. It's just this, to return even for a single uncomplicated day to the time when he and Tomas were just boys.
Back in the service of the Duke of Krondor.
Exactly. Just boys filled with simple hopes and ambitions when the world was a much smaller and blessedly simpler place. He's the man who knows he has to constantly clean up after others because of his gifts, but he just longs for quiet peace.
That context is vital. This isn't some detached wizard in a tower. This is a deeply burdened man using his immense power out of necessity, not desire.
Exactly.
So let's ground ourselves geographically. Where does all this work take place? Where's the home base?
The primary operations center for the Conclave of Shadows is Sorcerer's Isle. It's located in the massive Great Star Lake. And it's dominated, of course, by this gigantic academy of magicians.
Right. I've seen illustrations. It rises like a dark mountain out of the water, doesn't it? The spires almost challenging the sky.
That's a perfect description. And the life around it reflects that scale. The entire northeastern end of the island is just engulfed by the village that serves the academy, providing necessities, services, support for the hundreds of magicians and students living there.
And on the mainland?
On the mainland, you have Stardock Town. It grew up organically around the ferry station. It evolved from, a simple trading stop into this bustling, though often pretty disorganized, commercial hub.
You mentioned earlier that Stardock has this history of resentment toward the Academy. That seems like a crucial detail.
It is.
The Conclave is trying to unify the world against a cosmic threat, but they can't even manage public relations with the town right next door. How does that localized resentment impact their larger mission?
It's a huge psychological hurdle.
Yeah.
And the source of that friction is very real. It's the lingering scar of a bloody troll raid from 9 years prior. That attack killed dozens of townspeople, including a lot of the children's parents.
And they blame the magicians.
They deeply resent the academy. They believe the magicians acted too slowly or that they cared too little to drive the monsters away efficiently. That feeling of abandonment contributes to the economic depression in Stardock. People feel unsafe, unsupported, and that just feeds the despair.
And that context is going to play directly into the story of Pug's son, Caleb, a little later on.
It is, very directly.
But let's move from the man to the machine, the core command structure of the Conclave. Who's making these world-saving decisions alongside Pug?
His inner circle is fascinating. It's built on this complex foundation of power, loyalty, and deep personal history, starting with his current wife, Miranda.
Miranda, she's over 50 years his senior, right?
She is. Ancient by human standards. And she's the daughter of the notorious Macros the Black. She provides this stable anchor for Pug. And crucially, she sees past the legendary magician.
She sees the man.
Exactly. She's the one who sees those rare moments of profound vulnerability in Pug, the man underneath the Archmage. She provides that emotional stability you need when you're running a secret organization preparing for the end of the world.
Then you have his older son, Magnus. He's clearly following in the footsteps of both his parents and his grandfather. A powerful magician, a dedicated researcher.
And Magnus is dealing with a very complex heritage. I mean, he is literally Macros the Black's grandson. The sources note he finds it nettling to have Macros referred to as his grandfather, even though he's an undeniable magical prodigy.
Does he have a different personality than his parents?
Oh, absolutely. The sources describe him as having far more confidence, bordering on arrogance, than either Pug or Miranda, who are both marked by this humility born of long struggle.
And why does that specific arrogance matter to the Conclave's future strategy? I mean, a little confidence can't be a bad thing.
It matters because arrogance, even when it's justified by skill, can be a strategic blind spot. Pug and Miranda are cautious. They've seen empires fall. Magnus is eager and brilliant, but that eagerness could lead him to underestimate the sheer malice of their foes. He's the heir apparent to the power, but maybe not the caution.
Okay, that makes sense. And then there's Nacor. He's the ultimate wild card, isn't he?
He is the essential counterpoint to all the power in history. The calm, insightful gambling expert, known for his mysterious tricks, which are often indistinguishable from the highest magic. But consider this.
Go on.
Tomas, the man who is a Valheru reborn and commands Dragon Lord's strength, he rates Nacor as potentially the most dangerous man either he or Pug knows.
That is a staggering claim. Given Tomas's own power set, Nacor doesn't use the same kind of visible, flashy magic. So what is it about his approach that earns him that ranking?
It's his philosophical depth, his ability to manipulate reality through understanding rather than brute force. Nacor doesn't just cast spells. He understands the fundamental rules that govern the universe and he uses that knowledge. He's dangerous because he's unpredictable. He's never where you expect him to be. And his tricks often touch on these ancient cosmic truths.
We're going to see that later on,
Oh, yeah. We'll see that when he starts dealing with divine fragments.
Beyond that core group, Pug is expanding the Conclave's inner council to meet these growing threats.
Yes. They're bringing in new voices. People like Rosenvar, a magician from Salmatter, and Uskavan, a truly fascinating addition. He's an alien mind master from the world of Salavan.
A mind master, what does that entail?
Well, for one, his skin has a vibrant magenta hue, and he can produce illusions so vivid they cause physical reactions. Phantom blades that actually cut you, imaginary flames that burn.
That kind of mental manipulation sounds like a perfect asset against forces that rely on fear and chaos.
Precisely. And Uskavan also offers this crucial alien perspective. He insists that Salavan lines are more complex, not because they're inherently superior, but simply because they're an older race that has been practicing mental arts for thousands of years.
So it's about practice and longevity, not innate superiority.
Exactly. And that is vital knowledge. Pug seeks to leverage against enemies who believe they are cosmically destined to win.
Okay, let's pivot hard to the things the Conclave is trying to stop. Starting with the immediate visceral threat, the Talnoy.
These are genuinely terrifying. They're not biological soldiers, which is what makes them so difficult to deal with. They're heavily armored suits, brought from another circle of reality, the Dasati homeworld.
And the mechanism that animates them is the key, right?
That is, it's horrifying. They are powered by the imprisoned souls or spirits of the Dasati themselves.
Trapped souls providing kinetic energy. Ugh.
I know. Because of this, they're impervious to pain, they're absolutely mindless in their obedience, and, as the Dasati name Talnoy implies, they are very hard to kill. Conventional weapons, magic that relies on physical damage or fear, it's mostly useless against them.
But Magnus brings back crucial intelligence from the Serani Assembly on Kelluan about these things. What did their combined research reveal about the Talnoy's core weakness?
This is the key insight. The thing that allows the Conclave to breathe a tiny sigh of relief is that the Talnoy's power is finite.
Finite, how?
The life force, that trapped soul energy that animates them, it depletes when they act, when they move, when they fight. They are literally fueled by consumption.
So constant action is their ultimate undoing.
Exactly. Though they're extremely durable and hard to kill, constant action limits their functional lifespan to maybe days or at most a few weeks. This means they're not designed to hold territory or execute a prolonged invasion.
They're specialized assault troops.
Exactly. Meant for targeted, short engagements, like assassinating a monarch or destroying a key magical point, and that changes the defensive strategy entirely.
That slightly mitigates the threat of the Talnoy armor itself, but it doesn't solve the core existential problem of the Dasati. The sources describe them as a threat far worse than the previous Rift War.
That's because the Talnoy are just the hardware. The Dasati themselves are the software, and they are terrifying on a fundamental metaphysical level. They're mortal, like humans, but their very presence on Midkemia draws life force from everything around them.
They're literally draining the world.
Yes, they pull energy from the very grass they tread on, from the trees, from other living beings. So the longer a conflict lasts, the weaker Midkemian defenders become, because their energy is being sapped.
And at the same time, the Dasati get stronger.
Exactly. They're consuming that ambient life force to strengthen themselves. This creates a psychological and tactical nightmare. Fighting them doesn't just risk physical injury, it risks existential depletion.
And the scale of this projected invasion is massive. This is not a skirmish.
Massive, yes. If their agent Casper's vision was correct, they're projecting not just a few thousand warriors, but tens of thousands. And Pug emphasizes that they cannot risk the monarchs of Midkemia fully understanding this life-draining nature immediately.
Why not?
Because the fear might overwhelm their resolve and lead to a fractured defense. Panic.
This leads directly to the Conclave's strategic response, which is less about magic and more about political unification and subtle manipulation.
Exactly. Pug orders agents dispatched to all the royal courts across Midkemia. Their mission is not direct warfare, but intensive, subtle intelligence gathering. They have to uncover every ambition, every plot, every piece of local intrigue, anything that could be leveraged to gain cooperation.
And this is where the ethical lines get a little blurry for the Conclave, isn't it?
It does. The sources are very clear. The Conclave intends to use bribes and threats, if necessary, political blackmail, if you will, to secure the help needed to unify the world's rulers against this coming conflict.
They can't afford the indifference that plagued them during the Serpent War.
They absolutely cannot. They can't have nations standing aside, hoping others will fight the battle for them. They need the world to be slightly on edge, unified by external pressure, if not by common cause.
So their strategy is to become the unseen puppet masters, forcing the world's leaders to do the right thing, even if the leaders don't realize they are being manipulated.
It's the pragmatic choice of a man who has run out of time and patience. They have to prevent widespread anarchy and internal squabbling before the true enemy arrives. They're leveraging localized, evil, greedy barons, ambitious princes against the cosmic evil of the Dasati.
Okay, let's pivot to the individual agents carrying out this massive political operation, specifically Pug's younger son, Caleb, and the unconventional apprentices he acquires.
Caleb occupies a truly unique place in this family. He's the only non-magical child of Pug and Miranda, which, in a family of archmages, is, well, it's an anomaly.
But his upbringing gave him a different kind of skill.
It did. He had to attend all these tedious classes meant for magical students, and that gave him an enhanced, almost sensory ability to detect the presence of magic.
That's a huge advantage, especially when you're fighting a hidden magical cult like the Nighthawks.
It's absolutely vital. He's the magical Geiger counter of the Conclave. And just to add to his unique skill set, he is rated as the second finest human archer, right after the legendary Talwyn Hawkins. So he is the family's muscle, spy, and magical censor, all in one.
And Caleb's personal life is intertwined with Stardock Town through Marie, a dedicated farmer's wife.
Marie is the moral anchor in his life. She's the foster mother to Tad and Zane, two boys about Caleb's age 17 who live in economically depressed Stardock.
Right, where there's precious little work.
Exactly. A new freight line is bringing its own lads down, leaving the local boys idle. So Marie, fearing they're becoming aimless layabouts, she gives Caleb an ultimatum.
She wants them out.
She demands Caleb take the boys away, find them trades in the bustling cities of Kish or Krondor. She believes they desperately need a man's firm influence to guide them into having some purpose.
And her motivation is rooted in the trauma of the town, isn't it?
It is. She took Zane in because his mother was her best friend, who was killed during that bloody troll raid. So she has this profound protective bond. She doesn't want the boys to fall into despair or crime in a town that feels perpetually abandoned.
And Tad and Zane, feeling jilted after a girl they both liked got engaged to someone else, they're ripe for a sudden change of scenery.
They're ready to leave. But Caleb realizes they wouldn't go into the necessary danger willingly. So in a move that shows his practical side, he tricks them.
He tricks them.
He plies them with whiskey until they pass out and then loads them into a wagon. When they wake up, they're already on the road, traveling through the notorious Vale of Dreams.
The Vale of Dreams. A beautifully named but utterly lawless place.
It is a nightmare in reality. A lush but constantly disputed territory between the kingdom and Great Kesh, overrun by ruthless bandit gangs who exploit the geopolitical gray zone.
And their journey quickly turns violent.
Oh, immediately. They're ambushed by 5 bandits. Caleb shouts, "Run," and holds them off, knowing he's the primary target. Following his precise instructions, he clearly prepped them on what to do. Tad and Zane flee into the woods.
But they're pursued.
One bandit pursues them, intent on their capture, or worse. And this is where their latent ferocity, the kind that might actually make them useful to the Conclave, emerges.
What do?
It explodes out of them. They manage to lure the bandit back to a hiding spot. Zane, thinking quickly, uses a fallen branch as a club, swinging down hard from a tree. He shatters the bandit's nose, knocks him out instantly.
But he doesn't kill him.
Not at first. But when the bandit starts to stir, Tad picks up the club and delivers the fatal, merciless blows to the back of his head, ensuring he wouldn't rise again. And they have to do it again for the second pursuer.
Wow. Coordinated violence from 2 teenagers with no training?
It highlights their unusual suitability for the exact kind of dangerous life Caleb is supposed to be helping them avoid.
But Caleb himself is gravely wounded in the main ambush. There were other attackers, weren't there?
2 more Nighthawks. The main ambush nearly kills him. He has multiple sword cuts, a deep gash from a crossbow bolt. Tad and Zane find him unconscious and race him to the nearby village of Yaren, seeking out the innkeeper, Magruder, just as Caleb had told them to.
And it's Magruder who calls on this remarkable local figure to save Caleb's life from Limskragma, the death goddess.
He calls on a village witch, a tiny, frail old woman with these startling, vivid blue eyes that seem to glow from within. And Magruder knows this is no ordinary herbalist. He uses a cryptic, crucial phrase. He says, Magruder says it's time to repay a debt.
And the witch, after giving him this potent potion, she keeps Caleb alive just long enough for Magnus to arrive via rift. But she's under a specific obligation not to let him die. What is the nature of this mysterious debt?
This is where it gets cosmic. Nakor later reveals the incredible truth. This witch is not just a powerful mortal. She is an echo, a tiny fragment of the long-dead controller god, Arjindar, the light.
A fragment of a god.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
This fragment placed a power-based obligation upon Pug years ago. And that obligation is precisely why Limskragma, the death goddess, could not simply claim Caleb's life when Magnus went to her hall to plead for his son's return.
So the remnants of a long-dead god intervene directly in a mortal's life to honor a forgotten obligation to Pug. That puts the Conclave's current activities into a much, much larger cosmic framework.
It does. It shows this incredible web of ancient covenants and responsibilities that still bind Pug. He's not just fighting mortal cultists. He's dealing with the metaphysical fallout of divine interventions from millennia past.
So after being rescued from the very halls of the death goddess, Tad and Zane are brought to Sorcerer's Isle. The Conclave now has a new problem. What do you do with these aimless layabouts who now know too much about rifts, magic, and murder?
The boys realize they've stumbled into a dangerous life. Nakor explicitly warns them that they've seen and heard things that could get someone else killed if they talk. Their apprenticeship begins immediately, and it's a chaotic introduction to the Conclave's strange reality.
So these boys arrive, traumatized, and immediately have to navigate powerful magicians and, crab-legged furniture. How do the sources explain that bizarre contrast?
They have to learn that the magical life is often profoundly strange. They encounter the pale green, bronze-haired, pearl-white-eyed Pitherender sisters, 6 non-human girls who spend most of their time in the water and are a constant baffling distraction.
Hard to imagine.
And yes, they encounter strange sentient beings like the murmuring crab-legged tail thing that occasionally lumbers down the corridors. The bizarre is just mundane on Sorcerer's Isle.
But the training itself, handled by human instructors, is brutal, even if it lacks magical instruction.
It's pure discipline, utility, and grounding. The human instructors, Bolden and Tillenbrook, they instill purpose through rigorous, often brutal, physical demands. They have to run daily to a distant rock without slowing. They engage in masonry learning to build and break things, and they have to constantly hold their swords.
Why the focus on masonry and running? That seems mundane for prospective magical aids.
It's about instilling purpose through physical exhaustion. Running teaches endurance and determination. Masonry teaches them the utility of their hands and gives them a trade, fulfilling Marie's original wish while grounding them in the physical world.
And the swords.
The swords are the ultimate lesson in vigilance. Bolden, a man of his word, thrashed both boys when he found them without their swords. It reinforces the necessity of eternal readiness. You have to be prepared to fight right now because the threats they deal with don't wait for a convenient moment.
Okay, now that we've established the setting and the human agents, let's address a different kind of threat entirely. This metaphysical manifestation of pure evil, Roland Beck.
Beck is introduced during an attempt to secure an item at a remote cave where Thomas, the Dragon Lord, and Nakor are waiting. Beck is a young, dark-haired warrior, and his skill in swordplay initially forces Thomas, the ancient Valheru, to fight aggressively.
Thomas is hard-pressed.
Very. Beck's sheer efficiency, strength, and raw ferocity exceeds all but the greatest Midkemian swordsmen, like Talwyn Hawkins. Thomas has to use his immense Dragon Lord strength to physically disarm Beck, rather than just tire him out, and that is a major red flag.
It forces Nakor to realize they aren't just dealing with a mortal master swordsman.
No, this is something else entirely. Nakor detects a divine fragment in Beck, similar to the village witch who saved Caleb, but belonging to the ultimate opposite, Nalar, the Nameless One, the greater god of evil.
So that's where his skill comes from.
And his aggression. Beck admits to Nakor that he has voices and feelings that compel him to mischief, destruction, and violence. It leads him to places like that cave without him even knowing why. He explicitly states that it feels good when things get out of control.
So how does Nakor, the little gambler with his tricks, handle a warrior possessed by a fragment of the greater god of evil?
He deals with it physically and spiritually. He uses a truly painful, high-level magical trick of confinement. Nakor puts his hand over Beck's head and confines the fragment, essentially putting the powerful divine influence into lockdown within the mortal vessel.
And the effects are immediate and agonizing.
Absolutely agonizing. Beck goes through an involuntary seizure. He turns red, then purple, then blue, shaking uncontrollably. When it's over, Beck is temporarily incapable of violence. His spirit is so subdued he can't even ball his fist to hit someone who insults him. Nakor has temporarily quarantined the divine malice.
This intervention leads to a profound philosophical discussion between Nakor and Pug about the nature of their ongoing struggle. This is where we shift from tactical planning to cosmic theology.
And this is where the sources elevate the scope of the entire story. Nakor argues that Varen and the Dasati are not isolated villains. They are manifestations of evil winning in other realities. He posits that the struggle they face is universal, spanning across all realities and all ages.
He suggests that the gods are learning, doesn't he?
Exactly. He argues that Nalar, the Nameless One, who legend says sleeps, and the controller gods, they allow fragments to manifest in mortals, to understand and apply their roles in the universe. He uses this analogy of an ant siege on a castle. The gods are sending tiny pieces, the ants, into physical reality to slowly learn the weaknesses and strengths of their eternal roles.
That's a terrifying context. If evil is universal, then the battle for Midkemia is just one front in an endless war where the gods themselves are learning through trial and error.
Correct. And Nakor looks at the Dasati not as inherently evil in the sense of conscious malice, but as victims of a cosmic tide. They became what they are because evil won on their world, forcing them to adopt these terrifying, life-draining methods to survive. The fact that Nalar is manifesting fragments in people like Beck is just a symptom of this struggle reaching Midkemia.
But Nakor always balances the scales.
He always does. He reminds Pug, if evil is ubiquitous and universal, then good is equally so. The fragments of Archindar are also at work, protecting Caleb and maybe thousands of others. The fight is ancient, but if they win here, good prevails in this particular universe, at least for a while. That temporary victory is the only true peace they can ever expect.
With the Dasati invasion looming and divine fragments running around, let's return to the immediate political front, Great Kesh. The Conclave needed to find Leso Varen, the resurrected mad sorcerer, who they suspect is directing the Nighthawks.
And Kesh is the perfect place for Varen to hide. It's vast, bureaucratic, highly traditional. Chaos is easy to engineer there. So the Conclave strategically deploys 3 separate agent groups to the capital city to maximize intelligence gathering.
3 groups. Let's break those down.
First, you have Casper, the former Duke of Alasco, and Pasco. Casper has high political access, able to move through the highest governmental and royal circles as a minor envoy.
The top tier.
Right. Then you have Talwyn Hawkins and Amafi, who move easily through social circles and minor nobility. They leverage Talwyn's reputation as a champion of the Master's Court and a skilled gambler.
And Caleb is perfect for the 3rd, street-level tier, which is often where the real intelligence lies.
Exactly. Caleb, along with Tad and Zane, negotiates his way through the common citizenry, posing as traders from the disputed Vale of Dreams. This network approach ensures all levels of Keshan society, from the highest courtier to the lowliest merchant, are covered.
And the political landscape in Kesh is already ripe for exploitation by Varen.
Absolutely. The central tension is the impending succession crisis revolving around the aging emperor. The frontrunners are the scholar Prince Setzioti, highly intelligent and measured, and the popular warrior Prince Dangai, charismatic and beloved by the military.
And their divided support creates a risk of civil war.
A huge risk, a political earthquake that is the perfect breeding ground for Varen's chaos magic.
And the Nighthawks use this chaos to their advantage, immediately trying to lure the Conclave agents into a trap.
Tad and Zane are the first to spot it. They notice a hawk icon amulet displayed by a vendor in the bazaar. It's very close to the known Nighthawk symbol. Caleb quickly realizes this is not a coincidence. It's an intentional false amulet placed to draw the attention of anyone looking for the Guild of Death.
So Varen knows they're in the city.
He knows, and he's actively trolling them. The situation rapidly escalates when Caleb attempts a raid on a supposed Nighthawk nest in the sewers.
Which goes badly.
It's a tactical disaster engineered by Varen. The raid is anticipated and repelled with heavy losses for the Conclave's men. It's clear the Nighthawks knew the exact time and location of the attack.
So there's a spy.
Caleb is convinced there's a spy, or that they're under extremely subtle observation. Pug eventually rules out the latter, which leaves the Conclave with a chilling certainty of an internal traitor operating within their tight-knit organization.
To counter Varen's vast intelligence network, the agents are forced to make a dangerous and expensive alliance with the underworld.
They meet with the magistrate of the Ragged Brotherhood. This is Kesh's version of the Krondorian underworld, but different. The magistrate operates in the utterly malodorous Slaughterhouse District sewers, a fitting location.
How is it different from the Mockers in Krondor?
He clarifies that unlike the Mocker's iron rule, where commands are absolute, he merely suggests to the thieves and beggars of Kesh. He relies on influence and tradition rather than brute force. It shows the complexity of Keshan governance, which prizes tradition over direct tyranny.
But he's powerful nonetheless, and he charges a hefty price.
An enormous fee to search the magically warded areas where the Nighthawks are suspected to be hiding. Areas too dangerous for the Conclave's agents to penetrate without alerting Varen's mages.
And what was the price of this alliance?
A staggering bribe. 900 gold in total. It covers bribes for frightened thieves, blood money for anyone killed during the search, and the magistrate's own hefty fee. And he proves his shrewdness by warning Talwyn that the Nighthawks specifically wanted him alive for questioning.
Which implies Varen needed information only Talwyn possessed.
Exactly. It shows the Nighthawks' deep reach and strategic thinking.
Now we come to the true political bomb dropped by the sources. Casper, using his high political access, makes a stunning realization about Varen's current whereabouts.
This is the realization that turns the political intrigue into a direct confrontation. Casper realizes the entire succession crisis and the rivalry between the princes is fabricated. It's a perfectly executed smokescreen.
For what?
The long-lived emperor, whose health miraculously recovered years ago after being near death, has been possessed by Leso Varen.
Varen has been running the Keshan Empire from the very top.
Precisely. The emperor's miraculous recovery coincided exactly with Varen's move to Kesh. Varen, in the emperor's body, has been manipulating Keshan politics to maximize internal turmoil and ensure total instability.
But what is Varen's ultimate goal? It's not just taking the throne, right? He wants chaos on a massive scale.
His ultimate goal is annihilation. He intends to use the grand gala held during the Midsummer Festival of Bonapus, the peak social and political event of the year, to eliminate the entire imperial family and the gallery of lords and masters in one fell swoop.
Which would plunge the entire empire into civil war.
Total civil war and anarchy, creating the necessary dark environment for the growth of evil, which Varen seeks to propagate universally.
Before the final confrontation, we get an important side plot showing the growth of Caleb's boys and the new allies they've made.
Following the field sewer raid, Tad and Zane are staying at the Three Willows Inn. They're with Jami, their new foster brother, a Nuvindis boy who came to Kesh by way of sailor and teamster. And they're attacked by Nighthawk assassins seeking revenge.
And Jami, the redhead, proves his worth instantly.
He does. They're chased into a crowded plaza where Jami, displaying an innate sense of fairness most people lack, rallies a local street gang, the Baker's Boys.
He has charisma.
And an unshakable moral center. The Baker's Boys proceed to stomp and kick the Nighthawk assassins unconscious, proving that even in a chaotic, corrupt city, unexpected allies dedicated to basic honor can emerge.
It's a small but powerful piece of evidence supporting Nekor's philosophy. If evil is ubiquitous, good is too.
A perfect demonstration. The fight is ancient, but it is always fought by individuals making small choices.
The stage is set at the palace. The Emperor, possessed by Varen, is at the height of his power and madness during the festival gala.
The possessed Emperor is mad and gleeful, just reveling in the chaos he's about to unleash. He orders his Nighthawk courtesans and loyal household guards, the very men Varen had subverted, to attack the princes and the nobles.
Right.
Caspar, recognizing the danger, draws his sword and shouts a warning to buy time.
And the ultimate showdown occurs when the Conclave makes its move.
Pug and Miranda arrive instantly via rift. They appear in a flash of light in the ballroom. Varen, goaded by Caspar's interruption, reveals himself as Leso, howling in rage, and he unleashes his signature magic, a terrifying black, oily flame.
A consuming, cold magic that turns flesh to char on contact.
It's pure, cold despair manifesting as a weapon, absolute destructive power. Those not protected by the magical shield, Pug instantaneously erects scream in agony as their bodies are consumed.
But Pug has a counter, the magical jar. How does that work?
He smashes a prepared magical jar on the marble floor. It releases this foul, targeted green cloud. And this cloud is engineered using unique knowledge from the Rift War, designed specifically to pursue and bind Varen's essence within the Emperor's body, preventing an instant escape.
So the magical trap is set. Now they need the killing blow. Nekor directs Rel and Beck, the warrior possessed by the fragment of the Nameless One, to strike. Why Beck?
This is the tactical masterstroke. Beck is protected by Nekor's magic, which is critical against Varen's black flame. And Nekor understands that Varen is an entity of profound evil. By directing Rel and Beck, a mortal vessel housing a fragment of the greater god of evil, to deliver the strike, Nekor is leveraging one cosmic entity against another.
A divine fragment might be the only weapon that can truly end Varen's hold on this reality.
Exactly. The conflict is being fought on the spiritual plane, not just the physical. Beck drives his sword into the Emperor's back, killing Varen's host body immediately.
But as always with Varen, death is only a temporary setback for his essence.
It is. His soul erupts from the corpse as a brilliant green flame streaking northeast through the sky. Pug and Nekor instantly recognize it as Varen's death rift. It's transporting him to Keloan, the vast empire of the Surani.
So the most evil soul they have ever encountered is now loose in a massive new nation,
forcing the struggle to begin all over again.
That is the ultimate definition of an anticlimax, a victory that only signals the beginning of the next greater fight. Okay, let's handle the cleanup and the lasting impacts of this incredible event in Kesh.
First, the political cleanup. Due to the Conclave's swift intervention and Caspar's preparatory work, total turmoil is avoided. The succession is settled peacefully. The scholar Setzioti rules, and the warrior Dangai becomes his right hand.
And what's the official cover story for the Emperor's death?
A mishap involving faulty fireworks during the festival. It allows for plausible deniability, avoids panic. And Caspar provides vital, secret counsel to Setzioti. Immediately disband the household guard, the men Varen subverted, and purge the remaining Nighthawk sympathizers from the palace before they can regroup.
A huge personal change occurs for Caleb, finally solidifying his new life.
He knows he can't risk Marie and her boys being ordinary citizens anymore. He marries Marie immediately the day he returns. He believes he has no choice but to ensure his new family is cared for and protected.
And the boy?
His three stepsons, Tad, Zane, and the tenacious Jami, are brought back to Sorcerer's Isle. They're officially referred to as Pug's grandsons. granting them the privileges and, more importantly, the crucial protection that comes with the Conclave's direct oversight.
So the Conclave, an organization dedicated to fighting cosmic evil, now has 3 new, non-magical street-fighting agents with a fierce loyalty to Caleb.
The old wizard is finding new ways to fight the war, leveraging ferocity and loyalty where magic might fail.
Finally, we return to Pug and his enduring curse. The sources revisit his solemn conversation with Nakor about his bargain with the death goddess Limskragma.
Pug is fated to watch everyone he loves die before him. A horrific concession he made to return from the brink of death years ago. He grieves that this eternal loneliness is his life's path, the price of his power.
And Nakor offers a gentle, pragmatic counter, drawing on his own massive lifespan.
Nakor, who is much older and has outlived everyone from his own youth, he counters that this is simply the curse of being long-lived anyway. For those chosen by the gods for power and longevity, this isolation is the natural state of being. He reminds Pug of his own losses, including his wife Jorma, whose body he killed after she was possessed. It's a sad reality, but it's the universal price of being chosen for the eternal struggle.
And the episode concludes with the chilling knowledge that Leso Varen, the cosmic cockroach, is loose on Kelowon. He's far from the immediate reach of Midkemian magic, forcing the Conclave to regroup and prepare for the inevitable next clash across the rift.
Pug, Magnus, and Nakor search the plane where Beck delivered the final blow. They confirm the Death Rift is gone, and Varen's essence is on another world. Nakor's core philosophy prevails. The scope of evil is universal, but this means that good is equally ubiquitous. The fight is ancient, but when they win, they get to rest for a while knowing they've pushed the darkness back.
And that sense of temporary victory, the only peace they can ever truly expect in their long, burdened lives, is encapsulated in Pug's final line to Miranda. For tonight, my love, for tonight. It's not an end. It's just a pause.
It raises an essential, difficult question for you, our listener, to consider. If the safety of a world relies entirely on the personal sacrifice and eternal vigilance of a few people who are doomed to lose everyone they love, and the only reward is a temporary reprieve, how do they sustain the will to keep fighting that battle across millennia? What fuel powers the eternal light of good when the darkness is constantly finding a way to win in other realities?
An impossible question that defines the very core of the cosmic burden. A huge thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the tireless fight of the Conclave of Shadows. We'll see you next time.